LL Nation, what's good? We just started doing our live show on Facebook as well. So I had to go ahead and start because they kick you out if you don't start by 9:09, which is under the 10-minute mark. Facebook is tripping. LL Nation, what's good? Good morning to you. Hope you all are well. Malik will be along in a few seconds. Today we're going to talk about some recruiting updates. I just dropped a story over on Irish Breakdown about Luke Montgomery, big offensive tackle out of Findlay High School over in Findlay, Ohio. Prime candidate, might be one of the biggest targets, or one of the first targets that Harry Heaston talks to. There's another offensive tackle up in Massachusetts that Brian Roberts dropped a story on over on Irish Breakdown. So, the tandem, the duo, we're doing work over on Irish Breakdown for recruiting. Stay locked in. Go check out that story on Luke Montgomery over at Irish Breakdown right now. Now, I want to talk to LL Nation this morning. And when Malik gets in, he might be a little bit more heated. It seems to me, and I'll speak for myself until he gets here, what's up with all of the love for the transfer portal from the Notre Dame fan base? Like, it seems like every name that jumps into the transfer portal, like, immediately the fan base wants to jump on it, like, regardless of position. And one of the things that we talked about, I believe, shortly after the national championship game or leading up to the national championship game was the fact that Nick Saban was the one that stood up, I believe, days before the national championship game and said, yo, somebody needs to get this under control. Everything that's happening, somebody needs to get it under control because this isn't good concerning the transfer portal and NIL and all of that. Now, one of the things I will say, NIL should not be, and this is one of the things that upsets me with the direction that it's taking. NIL should not be directly connected to the school. It shouldn't be. I believe it was a story that came out of the San Francisco Chronicle this week where it talked about schools like Cal, Stanford, and other schools and colleges in the Bay Area. Football programs out there really thought because they were in Silicon Valley that they will have an upper hand on the NIL race when things opened up, only to find out that those tech companies are not interested in college athletes, not one bit. I think the quarterback from Cal, Garber, he said he got about $10,000 in NIL money for companies out there and said it had nothing to do with Cal. It was all about basically his parents and himself brokering deals on Instagram and on social media. So when you start getting schools like LSU, Alabama involved with this money, basically it's a front. That's all it is. It's a front, right? It's the same booster money that went to kids previously, but now the NIL is just a front for that same booster money. Like what Texas was able to do for that offensive lineman recruit, what Texas A&M was able to do, in spite of they just lost. They got a decommitment from Harold Perkins, the number one linebacker on yesterday, who more than likely will be going to LSU because of some NIL deal, reportedly or allegedly. It's getting ridiculous. It's getting absolutely ridiculous. And what I'm upset about is that I see Notre Dame fans chiding Notre Dame and the administration, saying, yo, when is Notre Dame going to get into the NIL race? Well, first of all, Jack Swarbrick is in these offices in these rooms when these decisions are made. And I don't think Jack Swarbrick wants to open that Pandora's box because once you open it, you can't go back. And the fan base, look, either you're 100% in on who Notre Dame is or you're not. So at 1 minute, you can't chide Alabama for their lack of academics and their players not going to class. And then the next thing, you want to jump on Notre Dame for not doing what Alabama is doing. It's like either you want to get in the mud with the pigs or you don't. Either you want to be separate and different or you don't. Notre Dame's different. That's your football team. That's your program. And you have to accept it. If there's a quarterback, say Adante Moore, and him and his father are looking for an NIL deal, then guess what? It might be a little bit more difficult for Notre Dame to get him to come to Notre Dame. But there are other players that can play the position of quarterback that you can develop. This is not Dante Moore a bust when it comes to Notre Dame being able to move forward with Marcus Freeman and win a national championship. Is that the number one guy on the list? Absolutely. Is that the person we want? Absolutely. But there's no way in the world that you can just sit back and start going at things as if you want Notre Dame and his football program all of a sudden to transform into an SEC conference team. That's not who they are. Notre Dame's not going to jump into the transfer portal. No. Notre Dame is not going to get a guy that loses to them in the national championship game and 2 weeks later wants to come over and play for the team he just beat. Do you know why Burton went to Alabama? Had nothing to do with team. He's sick and tired of his quarterback being Stetson Bennett. And if he's looking at his future and his numbers and how he can look on film, he will much rather give that opportunity to Bryce Young to make him look better on film for NFL scouts than to sit back and get targeted 4 to 5 times a game with Stetson Bennett as the quarterback and Brock Bowers being the main target in the offense. It's real simple. It's real simple. You can't chide that kid for wanting to put out better film for his future in the NFL scouts. It's a very shrewd move. He won a national championship. Check. You got that off your list. Now it's about me. I sacrificed. It was about the team. The team won the national championship. Now I have to look out for me. It's a very shrewd, different. We've never seen anything like it, but it's a very shrewd personal business move made by that kid to up his stock in his final year and his final push to get to the NFL. It doesn't matter if he's day 1. It doesn't matter if he's day 2. He has improved his stock immensely by going and catching passes in that Alabama offense and catching passes from Bryce Young. Lefty Podcast, my guy, Malik Zaire, joining us right now.
I know you're talking about
as always. We're talking about Burt. And I was just letting the fan base and LL Nation know, like, we have to relax. We have to relax.
Yeah.
Like, when we say we are ND, we have to be able to accept the totality of what that means.
That's right. That's right.
The totality. We don't move. We don't move like Bama.
No.
We don't move like LSU.
No.
We move differently.
That's right.
And sometimes moving differently, it might come across as being boring.
Yep.
It might.
But it's levels to it though. It's only seen as boring when you're making lateral moves. When you're making moves that aren't making you necessarily better and not necessarily worse.
Okay.
I think the transfer of Brandon Joseph made us better. That's not a boring move.
No.
That's a Notre Dame type of move. We got 14 leaving, Brandon Joseph coming in. It may not be better than 14, but it's a really good person to fill in that spot. When you saying lateral moves that are boring, where people not agreeing, is us calling quarterbacks that are all on the same level, or us getting a guy from Marshall as a guy that's filling in, but not a guy that's coming in to make us better, So it's okay that we're not getting everything that comes in the transfer portal because we're not desperate.
We have to relax.
Yeah.
We jump on every name. Like those Keaton Slovis. Let's go get him. Another quarterback goes in. Let's go get him. It's like relax. Relax. Our brand on the field. Yeah, please stay with me. I'm not talking about the brand of Notre Dame. We understand it's the most internationally known football program across the world, not just the United States, across the world. We get that. We understand the power of the brand. But the product on the field is not to a level of attractiveness to attract certain players. Let's just be real.
Yeah, that's real.
Right? Jahmyr Gibbs and Burton ended up at Alabama, and we're talking to Alabama in the middle of the season. Eli Ricks was talking to Alabama in the middle of the season because of the attractiveness of Nick Saban in Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Saban played all the way till the second week of January and picked up bigger transfer portal recruits than anybody else working the full time.
Right.
So it just shows you that sometimes winning attracts people too.
Now, see, this is the thing. College football is dope enough for everybody to be attractive in different ways. Right? Yeah. So you might have a preference. For me, and I'll share this story. My preference growing up was fair skin, long hair. Until August 4th, 1991, when I came across this chocolate young lady named Tiffany.
That's her.
She's been with me for 30 years now. She was the first and only, but I only needed to see one. There was only one I needed to see. I thought I knew what I wanted until I saw something that was different and was like, yo, that's it. Yeah. Marcus Freeman is trying to build something that Notre Dame has never seen. And we have to relax because we might want what we think we see in Alabama or what we think we see in LSU. And we might feel like that's our preference. Yeah. Let Marcus Freeman build. Because one day you're going to look up and Notre Dame is going to be the team they're going to be late in 2022, early 2023, and you're going to say, that's mine right there. That's my coach. That's my football team. That's how we rock. Let's do it. Because it's many ways to look good and attractive as a football program. Right. You don't have to do it like Alabama. You don't have to do it like LSU.
But we've seen teams copy Alabama's structure, i.e. Georgia, and made it better. So even Georgia's structure is not the same as Alabama's. It's their own version. And the more we can continue to be unique in what we look like and how we're portraying ourselves with Marcus Freeman doing the things we're doing, that's going to be our own niche. We're going to have our own type of player that wants to be there, not just a player that's like Alabama, LSU, Georgia, or Notre Dame, where I just got to pick one.
Yeah. It's like, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. And I'm upset because now it puts us in a place, you waste energy, right? When you're so focused on trying to pull down another team and try to talk about Nick Saban and his players and how dumb they are, supposedly, and this and that, trying to tear down their program, you're wasting energy, man, that you can apply to your fan base and your team. Why are you worried about them over there?
And that's our problem. When you're not winning and you can't get over the hump, you start looking at other people to put as the position as why. You know, oh, well, they got dumb players. Oh, well, they got $1,000 athletes that they paying. Oh, they doing this and that.
Right.
But the whole time, the more we can focus on building a culture that can change the perspective for some of these guys that these big teams are getting, maybe we can do something to start there and it'll move on from over.
Bro, let's be real. Everybody that's doing all this NIL stuff and recruiting Texas A&M, LSU, or anybody else, Nick Saban told you he's holding off. Nick Saban's like, you all don't really want me to start doing that.
No.
Because he's in the gap is going to get wide.
Because he already has proven that he can do better than anybody else.
Right. So let's be real. NIL and the way it's being used right now, it's just the front for the booster money that was already coming in.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a laundromat. It's a cash business. It's a cash front for the money that was already coming in to players via the boosters. That's it.
It's just now you just name the duffel bag a different name. That's all.
It. That's it. And that's the problem when you have the schools brokering the NIL deals. It really shouldn't be the schools. The power goes to the player and their family and whatever business partner, manager, attorney they want to hire to go out and find those deals. The schools shouldn't be finding NIL deals for players. Mm-hmm. That should have nothing to do with recruiting. Nothing.
It shouldn't. And it's crazy that the school feels like they need to do those things to secure players. And I think that if the school just continued to build the program and the relationships that the players have with the school, the NIL stuff is going to attract when you get that talent. Yeah. Like a guy like Bryce Young had $1 million NIL before he even took a snap. And I don't think that Alabama was reaching out for him. You know, he's the number one quarterback in the country, comes into a top school.
Did his NIL deal come while he was committed to USC, or did it come after he decommitted? I can't remember.
Either way, I mean, even Justin Fields, he left Georgia and had $1 million thing, and he played less than JT Daniels.
Yeah. So, look, if you're all in as a Notre Dame fan, be all in on who Notre Dame is. That's all I'm saying. Like, the thirst for the transfer portal, like we've talked about the quarterback situation. We talked about the quarterback room, the wide receiver room, the linebackers, everything that needs to be upgraded for Notre Dame to take that next step. We know what it is. Marcus Freeman is being a warrior out there. A warrior. Yeah. Along with his coaching staff on the recruiting trail. Putting in mad work to get the best of the best to come to Notre Dame without that NIL being in the conversation. Because the truth of the matter is, if you're good at Notre Dame, Chicago is 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of business that can be done. Indianapolis is like an hour away. Oh, we can make it happen. South Bend is in the middle of a lot of money.
I'm telling you.
A lot of money. And that campus represents a lot of money. We just found out Carnell Tate, his favorite pizza is Home Run Inn. Guess what? The owner of Home Run Inn is a Notre Dame alum. Make it happen.
That's it.
Make it happen. That's not on Notre Dame.
No.
The information we passed along to Carnell. Now him and his family can make it happen.
That's it. And that's the work that's done right there, because Notre Dame has, like you said, the biggest advantage of NIL because of its alumni.
Yeah.
You know, alumni can, just like Texas alumni support their football team. I'm sure that they don't have a bunch of questions saying, oh, well, what is the Texas University doing? You know, no. Everybody knows that the alumni run the University of Texas. And it shouldn't be no different here. If anything, we got bigger reach. We're not just in one state.
So I saw that yesterday and I shared it with you. I was like, man, we have to talk about this tomorrow. We have to, right? Because Notre Dame is not the type of team that you want, or not the type of program that you want to build all transfers.
Yeah, we would lose the essence of what Notre Dame football is if we just got a team full of makeshift 1-year guys like we're the longest yard or something. Or, you know, we would lose the essence of the development that I feel like we develop players, even though we talk about the few things that we don't develop. Yeah. We develop players that are Notre Dame guys from year 1 to year 4.
Facts.
Most likely, most of the time. You know, we've never been a team to just get a bunch of transfers. I think obviously we've had to play a little bit because that's just where the game is going, and it's worked for us. But I don't think we want to make a name doing that. You know, especially Marcus Freeman and recruiting his kids. He's going hard recruiting these kids, but I don't know if he's looking to give that same attention to all transfer kids either.
Right. Lefty Podcast. SD2 Mike, Shaun Davis with the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire, and Overtime Malik, brought to you by Nora Whiskey. Go to AnoraWhiskey.com, that premium American whiskey, AnoraWhiskey.com. Go ahead, line up your super chats, your big questions, whether it's recruiting, transfers, of what's happening with Notre Dame and the coaching staff moving forward. Some rumblings that everything should be finalized by next Monday. I'll just throw that out there. There's certain things that should be finalized by next Monday. And one of the candidates, after Sunday, he won't be working anyway. So Al Golden can come in and do whatever he wants to because he won't be coaching anymore after Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, okay.
It took you a while to catch that.
Oh, okay.
He'll be free. He'll be free
Monday. I really want to understand. Like,
he'll be free Monday. We'll send the PJ to Kansas City to pick him up, and he can fly straight to South Bend because he'll be free. He won't need to work the rest of the year.
He's got a big weekend though, and I think that you're in for quite a surprise. I think you'll see something of what we saw a couple weeks earlier. It wasn't too long ago when we had to do the damn thing again. So, we're gonna find out.
So, you talked about Brandon Joseph, right? And one of the things we didn't get to, we're talking about the players and the difference between the defensive players and how they view the 2022 season, and offensive players that took the chance to talk to the media on Friday. And Brandon Joseph talked about the expectations that he has for the 2022 season and his own expectations.
The expectations are there because of my past, and I put them on myself too. I expect to be one of the best players in the country, and to join a team like Notre Dame, I think that's how I'm going to be able to maximize on that. And so I hold myself to as high as a standard as all the talk and coming in working with Matt Bayless and walking into all the different things I need to improve for myself is how I think I can develop to be the best version of myself.
Now, did you hear Brandon Joseph say that he needed to maximize on who Notre Dame was?
Absolutely.
He needed to bring his talent to a program like Notre Dame that's different than everybody else. But even in being different, it can maximize the individuals that connect itself to the program.
He's like, yeah, I can launch
Yeah.
from a bigger spot at Notre Dame than any time I could at Northwestern. I just wish he would have just threw Northwestern in there. Just be like, look, I couldn't get to where I wanted to go at Northwestern, but I know at Notre Dame, I see the ceiling and I see us closing the gap with that. And this is what my talents is good for. My talents fit Notre Dame.
And you already know Notre Dame produces NFL players. The next step is producing elite NFL players because they've been elite college football players. Like literally, That's the next step from a recruiting standpoint and a development standpoint for Notre Dame. Getting 3 guys in the first round, not just having Kyle Hamilton be in the top 5, but having.
And I do think too that like you said, like we want guys that are damn near like Kyle Hamilton. Yeah. Just guys that are just need a little tweaking, but the talent is already, showing itself. We just want to hone in on what can make you, technically better. And we can produce guys like Kyle all the time. Yeah. All the time.
So when you speak of it from a recruiting standpoint, I think grassroots, Notre Dame is doing exactly what you need to do. You cast a wide net. You cast a wide net going after the best players. You don't go into recruiting saying, oh, we can't get that guy. Oh, we don't have a chance to get that guy. Why go down south and get a big-time D tackle? Why go to the East Coast up into Pennsylvania and get an offensive tackle? Because kids like that usually go to Penn State. They're locked up. Like Notre Dame is defying all of the rules that the previous regime had when it came to recruiting. Like Notre Dame literally does not give a darn right now. That's the attitude. Like, we don't give a darn. We don't care who's talking to this kid. We're coming. We're Notre Dame.
Let the kid decide if he don't want to.
We have a package that no one else can offer, which leads me to the Inside the Garage podcast. KJ Wallace transferred from Notre Dame. His last episode on campus was yesterday. He's still trying to decide where he's going. This is the one thing that he said that stood out to me. He said, I could have transferred a long time ago, but there's no way I was going to come to this school and not leave without a Notre Dame degree. He said, that's what it's all about. And he said, that's why all of us came here. He said, that's why all of us chose this school. Not just because of football, because of that degree. And I said, that's the most sensible thing I've ever heard from an athlete. Like, it makes absolutely no sense to put in 3 years at this school and then leave and go get a degree from somewhere else. Makes no sense. So he's literally taking online classes and extra classes this semester. No, online classes and some other classes to make sure he can graduate from Notre Dame and still be enrolled in another school to probably get those credits to transfer over. It's crazy.
And that's exactly the catch-22 at Notre Dame. I had the exact same feeling / reason.
Yeah.
I was so close to graduating because, you're there for the summer, you're there in the spring, taking courses. And if you don't drop any classes, you really finishing real fast. So when you get through that red shirt year and you on your red shirt sophomore year, you damn near done with your degree. So if the football not going,
you guys pretty much,
which is how.
Are you required to take classes over the summer, or is it just something most players do?
Well, you take classes over the summer to get you on campus so you can work out and get money to live on campus and stuff.
Yeah. For
summer workouts, because technically the school is out or whatever, but you just know you there. It ain't nobody just missing no summer. Right. But then again, too, is that, I mean, you got to think about it. Like you said, it's hard to walk away from a Notre Dame degree because it's hard to get in there, so just what Coach Kelly did so famously is that guys would be frustrated about playing time, but Coach Kelly would know that you wouldn't leave. He's like, you're going to leave this degree, you about a year done.
Right.
So now you really just sitting for a whole year on your hands because you like, I got to get the degree, but I know I can play somewhere else. So for me, my grad transfer year, I was done early. So I had another chance to open a second recruitment after graduating. So it just worked out perfect. That's because I went to school early. Now, if I went on time, it'd probably be a different story.
Lefty Podcast. We're talking about the transfer portal and how, look, the fan base, and, we want everything to kind of happen fast and we want to get to that national championship. But as we say, we are different, and we have to look at things a totally different way. You know what? I want to go back to, once again, the quarterback battle, right? Because if you talk about Dante Moore, big-time quarterbacks like that, looking at NIL deals, and I don't know, maybe his family are considering that. We talked to Carnell Tate, and he said it's definitely a factor. It's something he's talked with his parents about. So if that is the case, how much pressure should Notre Dame feel, if any, to even include that in his recruitment? Or shouldn't the Marcus Freeman just keep it a buck and keep it 100 and say, yo, this 40 on the back end is worth more than any NIL money you can get right now?
I think that's a harder sell because you're seeing kids going into these crazy deals at these schools where they're not as prestigious as us. Like, for instance, Eastern Michigan, Charlie Batch offering a kid $1 million to go to Eastern Michigan. I mean, it's that ridiculous. So I don't know if not every kid is thinking 40 years down the road. Not every kid is seeing the value the same of a degree. Their parents usually have a huge influence on getting you to think about that. But I think from an NIL standpoint, if I was Marcus Freeman, I'd just be like, look, this is the place. If anywhere else you do some of the right things, we have some programs at school, it's like you're the honey, and the flies are going to attract to you once people start seeing this thing open up. You're on the biggest stage where somebody's going to catch you, just like they have with all the other players with Kyle and everything. I think it could work out that way. But unless we can guarantee duffel bags, man, I think it's not worth putting extra energy in the NIL when it's so broad and random,
And that's the problem with it right now. Like, there has to be some central administration for this thing to really come across the right way.
Exactly.
As it moves forward. And if the NCAA does not want to be that administration, then guess what? There needs to be some committee formed to do things for the best interest of the sport. Flat out.
Do you think the sport is ruined currently though? I just think it's just not a direction for a player to be like, all right, this is the track to get to this NIL, or this is the way to get to this. It's kind of just like, man, if they like you enough, just like any company, they're gonna find you and offer you something, you know.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would definitely say that, moving forward, I think things need to be, because eventually the NIL money is going to be fraudulent, in my opinion, because you're going to have kids going to schools, taking the money, bouncing, and going to play somewhere else. So now what are you doing? Right?
Wait, so you saying they would, so like for instance, Dante would go to like a Kansas freshman year, get the big bag, and then transfer to Notre Dame? Is that what you're saying?
Who was to say he couldn't do it?
Well, that would mean that.
Or just take the lineman. Great example would be the lineman, all the linemen that went to Texas that got the NIL money.
Okay.
Dude, a lineman could go in there with the attitude like, man, I'm on scholarship. I got this money. There's no need for me to compete. I'll just take it easy. And in a couple of years, I found another school to go play and get to the league. I mean, you're talking about young kids, man. You're not talking about people that really understand the value of money, the value of what they're getting, and the fact that you still have to work, or you need to work to live up to that NIL money. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
That's dangerous. That's like giving money to these 18, 19-year-olds going into the NBA and then expecting them not to make mistakes. What 18 and 19-year-old doesn't make mistakes? Man, I just got a text message, or saw something. My godson, he's 12. And my bro was like, man, I'm going to kill your godson. He's a teenager. Like, what you talking? Dude, I get it. I understand. That's life. So, yeah, at some point, you're going to have certain stories come out with this NIL money that's not going to look good, man. And I just hope that the NCAA and all of college football is prepared for these sob stories. Where are we at with the transfer portal? When it first started, everybody was like, great. Kids don't have to sit out a year. They can transfer immediately. I think it was last year you had 300 kids that transferred that didn't get picked up.
But that goes to even recruiting. There's thousands of kids that don't even get scholarships going into school.
But you're talking about kids that had a scholarship, didn't properly gauge. That's why, look, if you're talking to a team in the middle of the year and you want to bounce and you're trying to gauge where you can go, I'm all for that. I'm not particularly for somebody talking to another team's player in the middle of the year, but if a kid already knows he's getting ready to bounce and he gets permission from that school, it's almost like giving a player in the NBA permission to go seek out a trade. Like, okay, you don't want to be here anymore? We're open to making a trade. Go find us a trade partner.
But then too, you gotta think that, all right, well, not everybody's gonna get a deal like a Quinn Ewers or a Caleb Williams, which is why I don't think it's as bad, because those 300 players that didn't get picked up, those guys didn't have no NIL opportunities clearly, at the time. So from a structure standpoint, and even from that, 300 guys not getting picked up after transferring, it's like, damn, well, you wasn't playing where you was at for a reason. That'll make you necessarily a better situation somewhere else or at that time. But that's just the game you play. There's no way you can sit there and manage a kid that wants to stay there or wants to leave if he's got all these feelers. But if you take that mistake and don't get a chance to get picked up again, nobody told you to leave in the beginning. A kid got to get some type of accountability. If you thought you was going to do something and it ended up not working out, because you didn't get picked up. I mean, I don't expect the school to just pick you back up because they offering kids every day, So it's just, it's the devil is better than one you don't. That's the obvious danger of doing that. But then again, you don't have to do that either. You can just ride your situation out or get better clarification. A guy like Jermaine Burton going from Georgia, Alabama, that's not that hard, But if you got a guy leaving UAB and trying to go to Ohio State, thinking that they got some feeling and don't get there, I mean, who feels sad for that? Nobody should feel sad for that.
Yeah, and I saw McCole Hardman jumping on Burton. He's a wide receiver from Georgia. He's throwing that shade at Burton. It's like, what are you talking about, man?
They just won a championship.
You're in the league. You're in the league. Like, how do you go to the team you just beat? Because they have the better quarterback, and I'm trying to get to the league. It's simple.
It don't have nothing else to do with nothing else.
I'm tired of getting 3 to 4 targets behind Brock Bowers with Stetson Bennett as the quarterback.
And Stetson only throwing it 11 times.
So it makes perfect business sense. That's a decision that he came home, sat down with his pops, and was like, man, I had dude beat all night. I was killing dude all night. All night. I should have had at least.
He's like, I can't go nowhere else because Georgia's the nicest team.
Yeah.
So I can only go to a team with a quarterback. I can't. Yeah. It's not like I'm looking at 50 different schools. I'm not going to LSU. Right. I ain't got nobody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He said, you see the way I killed him? You see the way I killed him in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
2 pass interferences I picked up. I was all night.
The dude had to tackle me.
Right. Like, I was doing that all night. We could have had that in the first quarter. But.
And he saw the Mechie on the other side. Yeah. He saw Mechie standing over there. He like, man, Mechie just wasting the jersey. I could be over there getting 200 yards. And then Jameson went down. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm going.
Easy.
I'm going. Alabama has gotten some of the top talent from other SEC teams already.
Yes. Well, that's all you can ask of a young man. Come take care of your business based upon your original commitment. And at any point you feel like you need to do something that's best for you, then go ahead and do that. And that's what he did. People are just butthurt because he's going to Alabama. Let's just keep it real. Because if he was going to Michigan State, nobody would care.
Nobody would care. They'd be like, oh, good for you, just you trying to do what's best for you. Da, da, da.
And if he chose Notre Dame, some of the same people will be jumping up and down, talking about how great of a decision it is.
Yeah.
So,
people don't like when you making the choice that they know you're gonna beat them with. Everybody know you go there, you're gonna get the ball, you're gonna, everything Absolutely. That people don't want you to do.
Absolutely. Let me take a sidebar right quick, and we'll come back to Notre Dame. Tom Brady spoke with Jim Gray on his Let's Go podcast yesterday. And for the first time, I heard Tom Brady pretty much admit, in my opinion, that it's a wrap. When asked about the season, Tom Brady said, I didn't like the outcome, but I'm satisfied with and I said, whoa, I've never heard a great player be satisfied with not winning. And when a great player like that says he's satisfied with something less than winning the championship, that's the first red flag that, you know what? It might not be worth it to him the way it used to be.
I mean, at the game like that, man, I think he would have been surprised if he pulled that off. So he's just like, man.
Because the truth of the matter is they got dominated. If we're going to be honest about it, they got dominated.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the Rams turning the ball over, that game would have been ugly.
It would have been ugly.
Real
so
ugly.
I think you're right. No great player can sit there and say they satisfied, and that would make you feel like they still have the same intensity as the first time they won a championship. So I do think that him losing so early and him getting beat on like he did, he's like, man, you know what, man, maybe it isn't that important for me anymore because if you look at the team's not going to be the same next year.
No.
You know, the team not only older, but you got guys with injuries. Gronk's older. You know, you got a division that's getting tougher around you. And he's just kind of like, man, I'm fighting the good fight, but I'm definitely going to take as long as I need to. Potentially not even to come back. I think if he had to end, that's the best way to end because other than that, he would just keep winning. He's one of the few people in history that if it wasn't for an all-star team like what the Rams had, literally Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Sharif Floyd, I mean, that's an all-star defense.
Yeah.
So he's probably like, man, if that's the peak of the defenses that I got to face to win a championship, maybe I'm satisfied having 7 rings. Like, come on. Like,
and understanding what his team went through this year. You know, and Tom Brady knows. He knew at the end, and I'm sure a lot of Tom Brady fans in the chat that watch this later will be upset because they don't want to look at the reality. Tom Brady had an arc where he was a game manager. Then he went to an elite quarterback that could carry a team. And he started to come back down to a quarterback that needed a little more help around him because he could no longer carry a team with lesser talent like he did previously.
Just like LeBron.
That's what you saw when he left New England, which is why he went to Tampa Bay, which is a team that had tons of talent and was 500 with Jameis Winston at quarterback. It was easy to see for him to say, oh, I can take this team and win 4 to 5 more games.
Yep.
And go to the Super Bowl. Defense was already stacked. Defense was already stacked. It was like he didn't go somewhere where they were rebuilding, like, yo, let me elevate everybody else. Mm-hmm. No. So he knows exactly where he's at. And he sees the writing on the wall with the roster. And he has to ask himself, like, man, do I want the pressure of having to carry and elevate a team? Or having to walk out and put 35 points up on the board because the defense might not be as dominant as they've been. If Todd Bowles gets a head coaching job, if Byron Leftwich gets a head coaching job, now it's 2 brand new coaches. All of that matters.
All of that matters.
All of that matters. So
and he can't. It's not too many places where he's can get traded to. That's got a similar setup to what he went to in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
All these teams that are great now are teams that are up and coming or teams with quarterbacks that's making them put in the playoffs. You know, like Joe Burrow brought his team to the playoffs.
Right.
You know, Green Bay. I don't think Tom Brady want to be in no damn cold no more. You know, even if Aaron Rodgers leaves. So it's like it's not too many places other than Dallas. But then that's just asking for too much. I think Jerry Jones and Tom Brady link up for 1 year. I think they'll win the Super Bowl.
So you just gonna kick Dak out, just straight kick him out.
Huh? Dak's kicking himself out. You think they're gonna pay? You think they're gonna keep Dak after what they did? I don't know. I wouldn't trust it because they damn near didn't want to pay in the beginning.
You literally held the Dak flag all year.
Yeah,
literally.
I was yeah, absolutely. But
now you're just kicking him out for 1 year time.
I'm not kicking him out. I'm being realistic about Tom Brady might come to an end. You think that Dallas is sitting there being like, yeah, we're going to be all right with that next year. I don't believe they're thinking that.
They need to worry about who's going to be covered on the back end. That's what they need to worry about. And they need to worry about replacing some of that old offensive line.
Yeah, Zach Martin. Oh, man.
I mean, how many times are you going to have Tyron go on the IL during the season? It's like every year he's missing 4, 5, 6 games. At some point, you have to realize, like, yo, you know, and to be honest, Lyle Collins hasn't been as advertised at right tackle. He just hasn't.
And it's just the inconsistency because wasn't he suspended for a little bit? Then he came back and he got hurt. So, you know,
all I know is Marcus Freeman will have a face-to-face with Al Golden more than likely Monday or Tuesday. Al Golden, his season will be done. He will be available for a face-to-face interview in South Bend. And
You're such a hater. I can't wait. I'll go and hold the trophy up so I get a picture and we can put it on the podcast.
I'll bet another $100 that Al Golden ain't holding not one trophy up this year at all. Unless he has one of his kids has a Pop Warner trophy from a tournament. Al Golden would never touch a trophy this year.
You talking to the Kings of the North?
No, I'm talking to the Kings of the North. All of LL Nation from Dayton, the surrounding areas. They've been talking all that trash like they haven't sucked for the past 50 years.
I love that we love to talk about what we used to be.
No, I'm talking about what you're going to be. I just told you where you're going to be at on Monday. So I'm talking about the future too. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Shaun Davis with my guy Malik Zaire. Let's get back to Notre Dame right quick. I just wanted to touch on that with Tom Brady. I thought that was very interesting. Don't forget, coming up in about 15 minutes, we have former Notre Dame running back Cam McDaniel joining the show. And he's doing some great work. Look forward to talking about his company, Atom Technologies, his time away from Notre Dame when he played in the CFL and what he's doing now, making great strides. And I want to ask him about, what he's doing and how that could impact college football and strength training in the future. I really want to get into that. So we look forward to talking to Cam McDaniel in about 13 and a half minutes right here on the Lucky Lefty Podcast. So we got some good bites from Avery Davis and Brady Lindsey yesterday concerning the starting quarterback who we think should be the starting quarterback for Notre Dame and Tyler Buchner. But Brady Lindsey was also asked about the difference between the team and how they operate at Notre Dame under Marcus Freeman. Listen to this and what he had to say.
I think the practice schedule, just in itself, a little shorter, but higher intensity. I think it's more good on good, less, ones versus threes to, give you certain looks that are scripted. I think that allows the ability to, if you're playing well, there's more mobility within the depth chart. So I think you might see a bit more, aggressiveness and a little more competitiveness within. But on top of that, I think there's definitely a huge emphasis on the team itself. I feel like it's going to make us closer. So I think you'll see a tighter and more competitive team come fall.
Did Brady Lindsey just say, man, we used to stand around and do a bunch of nothing?
Yeah, I believe it.
Is basically what he's saying?
Yeah, the pace of practice is definitely during the season really slow. But, shoot, clearly, what do you expect? Y'all trying to put a game plan in for the week. You're going to be standing there sometime. I got to talk about what's going on. And offensively, more than defense, because, defense, they flying around, yada, yada. Offensively, it's really like, look, we trying to really put this together. We need to make sure this is right on time. Naturally, offense is going to be a little more boring. Now, it could be a faster pace to things. Like, he's still going to have it hot over on the offense because even in walkthroughs, he cussing at you, he yelling at you. So the energy is going to be there for the offensive line.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to get everybody else going. But Chancey Stuckey not going to let you sit around. And that was the problem. It was too much of y'all standing around to begin with, not having no technique. Y'all should have been working releases or something. So I know Chancey Stuckey has gotten all of that information. And he's diagnosing it currently. It's like, okay, we're going to adjust these empty times with stuff to get better because clearly it's not translating on the field yet. But this is good, though. This is good that we know what the problem was and how we're going to fix it.
You can always be doing something to get better.
Yeah, like standing around, come on.
Yeah. Always time to do something to make yourself better. Now, Houston Griffith had an opportunity to leave. He chose to come back as well. They're going to be thick on that back end at the safety position. I'm sure he's going to want to start next to his guy, one of his friends, which is Brandon Joseph, the transfer in from Northwestern. He talked about the excitement he has about the outlook on 2022-23.
I'm excited because the whole defense is pretty much back, honestly. So, it's room for growth. After the Fiesta Bowl, it didn't go the way we wanted to later on in the game. So, it's something that's going to motivate us all offseason. Just going out there and competing in winter workouts, whether that's in the weight room or in the classroom, or when we're out here running gases, like it's a competition. And that's the mindset Coach Bayless has instilled in our program and our culture. And that's why I think we've had so much success since I've been at Notre Dame. I mean, 10 plus wins every time I've been here. So it doesn't get better than that. So I'm just really excited for what's in the future and, how we're going to attack this 22 season and just, week 1 versus Ohio State. So it should be a very exciting year for us.
My only pushback would be it does get better than 10 plus wins every year. Ask Alabama.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. 10 plus wins every year doesn't get any better than that. Yes, it does.
Would you say Mac Jones' class went to a championship in a ring every year?
CFP.
Every year
they were at Alabama. Every year. They don't know anything else, dude.
Yeah. Now that's what you want to be talking about.
Right. Right.
He's like, yeah, we make it to the finals every year and don't win. That's different.
They have girlfriends that are scheduling trips during Christmas break. Like, man, can we go here? And they're looking at them like, dude.
Yeah, like Alabama girlfriends know.
Right.
They're busy until February, damn near. Because right after they gotta get ready for the draft. Because he's just
that's what we do.
The whole winter is booked up. How at Alabama players during the summer,
Get in where you fit in, right. Summertime. That's it.
They are busy for that football kickoff in October.
No, that's the way it is. Come on, man. Yo, Alabama players, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me until like February.
Yeah, we used to taking them trips. We can't wait till Christmas time, Santa roll around because we on some islands to take it because we a 10-win team. That's what they used to.
That's cool. But I like the fact that he says, yo, it's going to be a good team rolling into the horseshoe.
And it goes back to why is the defense sounding so different than offense? You got Houston, we all coming back, we flying around competitive, and then you got Brady. Well, it's just you're gonna get better. Hopefully, whoever win the job. I want to hear both sides firing off at the same.
We need that. We need that, and maybe they get into spring practices and they start to find out and see that the Notre Dame offense is a little bit more explosive. Maybe, they start to realize like, yo, these young boys we used to push around on the O-line, man, they're not the same. So, and iron sharpens iron. Another thing Brady Lindsey said, like, yo, they're used to going up against the third string. Shells, just looking at what plays are going to work when they give us this look. Well, guess what? The other team is scouting as well. They're scouting how to play the plays that you want to go to. So when you get in the game and don't get that look,
exactly. So the preparation standpoint, and hopefully that means the scout team, like you said, is kicking butt. If the scout team is kicking butt and challenging our guys in practices, I just don't see how we not where we want to be.
Lefty Podcast. We're talking recruiting, NIL today, and a little bit of transfer portal. Once again, special guest Cam McDaniel is going to be joining us shortly right here on the Lucky Lefty Podcast. Look, man, I'm going to go ahead and just put it out there. Is Joe Burrow a top 5 quarterback in the NFL?
Are we talking about right now, or are we talking about?
You can never just answer the question straight up.
These got to be specific. If we talking right now, Joe Burrow.
There is a professional football league called the National Football League.
If we're talking right now, Joe Burrow's top 3.
Say it again.
If we're talking right now, Joe Burrow is top 3.
You talking about of the current teams that are left in the playoffs? Or you talking about the entire league?
The entire league.
He's top what?
3.
You must be talking about the AFC North.
Oh.
He's top 3 in the AFC North?
The only people I wouldn't put Joe Burrow above right now is Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson.
Oh, Deshaun still exists.
Oh yeah, but that's what I said right now.
Deshaun,
That's what I said right
he's
now.
living right now. He'll be on a team coming to
He
a
ain't playing
team
all year.
near
I
you.
love Deshaun. Deshaun top 5 in there.
So you would take. Wait a minute. So you would take Joe Burrow over Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers about to leave.
Not the league.
I don't know the way Aaron Rodgers be talking. I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers.
I discounted Tom and Aaron because they not.
He's just a little bratty. That's all. He's a little bratty. He's just throwing a little temper tantrum. Aaron Rodgers isn't leaving the league, man. Like Tom Brady is a totally different story.
Yeah, so I'm not counting Aaron and Tom, so that makes Joe Burrow top 3 because you got Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, and Joe Burrow. I'm taking Joe Burrow over Matthew Stafford. I'm taking over Dak. I'm taking over Josh Allen. I'm taking over Jared Goff.
How?
Taking over Baker, Ben Roethlisberger, Mason Rudolph.
How are you taking him over Josh Allen? How?
What do you mean?
What?
Joe Burrow is playing Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship this weekend. That's
okay. Once again, how are you taking him over Josh Allen? How?
Because Josh Allen fools everybody like he does really good numbers and then can't win the game. That's my problem with Josh Allen.
He fools everybody.
Remember they were talking about MVP? They were talking about him winning the MVP after they lost last year.
So Sunday was an illusion at Arrowhead. We were all mystified.
But y'all thought he was going to win. Yes. Mr. Mark Sanchez. Remember Mark Sanchez, back-to-back AFC championships, number 1 defense. Everybody thought that Jets was going to go to Super Bowl, and they just kept losing.
The fact that you keep comparing him to Mark Sanchez is...
I'm not comparing him to Mark Sanchez. I'm comparing the similarities of those teams at that time.
Wow. Lefty Podcast. That's all I can say, man.
What you want me to do?
Dude, you can choose to rock with your guy, Joe B, but the disrespect that you show.
Hold on.
And it's not just the level of disrespect that you have shown. I think the level of disrespect you've shown towards Josh Allen is greater than the disrespect you showed to Mary J. Blige.
Wait a minute. So where's Josh Allen on your list? Because Josh Allen was in the AFC and then lost this year in the divisional. So if anything, he got worse.
Well, first of all, Josh Allen has already been to an AFC championship game.
And lost.
Yes, just like Joe B is about to do. So
they're going
to have the same experience.
You try to speak.
They'll be able to sit down at the Pro Bowl in a couple of weeks and talk about their experience at Arrowhead. Like, man, we thought we had him. Yeah, I thought we had him too.
How can you talk bad on Joe Burrow when Joe Burrow hasn't played yet?
What have I said negatively about Joe Burrow?
That he's going home and he's going to be sharing stories with Josh Allen.
Joe Burrow isn't the only player on the Bengals. I'm talking about the Bengals as a team.
Nah, not the way Eli Apple playing. The apple of my eye, my guy Eli. Wow. The apple of my eye, Eli. We shutting stuff down, Tyree.
There's your Ohio bias coming through again. You're depending upon a Ohio State defensive back to come through for you, right? Right?
Oh my goodness.
Who is he going to cover? I hope they don't have him on Tyreek.
Listen, it doesn't matter. We play as a unit. You saw how did we guard AJ Brown and Julio? How is that possible?
Okay.
And then they got to worry about Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Azuma. Ooh, Joe Mixon. Ooh, the boys.
Who was the quarterback for the Titans again?
Ryan Tanner downhill.
Lucky Lefty Podcast. Yo, this is incredible. So, moving forward, how do you see Notre Dame effectively being able to deal with the challenge of I think Notre Dame and Jack Swarbrick are really saying, let this play out. Let's let this NIL thing play out. And once it settles, then we'll make our move and see how we really want to be a part of this whole landscape across college football.
The one thing I can say that I'm most proud about the program is that Jack Swarbrick has always played his cards right with how college football changes. And this is no different. I believe, like you said, he's going to play it real cool. He's going to let it all lay the cards out in front of him.
Yeah.
And he's going to make the best decision for Notre Dame based off of different things. You know, there's many different programs he could do. He wants to see how some of the top schools are doing it. And I think him being the outlier, like the Jerry Jones of the NFL league owners, he's just different. You know, he's going to bring something different to the table that might help all of college football like he's been doing. So now I'm just interested to see what that would look like, but I do think it'll take some time. But approaching the challenge, we've always been able to do that on a high quality level, and I think that we're not going to fast food any process, no matter what changes in college football, like some other teams have tried to adapt, because it doesn't last long. I don't think Georgia with Kirby Smart is going to have the same traditional history building for Georgia like Marcus Freeman is doing for Notre Dame. I think the Kirby Smart is more of an era of Georgia, because Georgia's going to hit the highest point and it's just going to come crashing down because it's not a steady build up. I mean, they were good as soon as he got there. You know, I mean, he took a team that was average and made them playoff ready in 2 years. So I think Marcus Freeman is going to do it the right way, and then we'll be standing at 10 years from now, where Kirby, I think, won't last as long because it's too much you got to do right now.
So, man, let's get to some interesting comments as we wait for our guest. Your boy, Crazy Boy. There you go.
That's a Crazy Boy comment, man. That's a Crazy Boy comment.
Let's see, dude. Look, man, stop talking to me about the regular season. Saying these are the type of cats that love Aaron Rodgers. Great in the regular season, nothing in the postseason. I don't want to hear about what the Bengals did to the Chiefs in Week 8. It don't matter. That won't matter on Sunday. It doesn't matter. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. People bring up what happened in the regular season, like, oh, we beat them in the regular season. So what does that mean? It's crazy. What is that? That has no bearing. There are teams that beat the Chiefs, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Wait a minute. You said it has no bearing?
The Chargers beat the Chiefs.
Wait, you're saying no bearing though?
No bearing.
Now we all know that everybody was jumping on.
Did Week 5 have any bearing? Because we talked about the number one defense. Week 5, what they went into Arrowhead and did they shut Patrick Mahomes down. Patrick Mahomes did this and Patrick Mahomes did that. What did Patrick Mahomes do? He adjusted, right?
Can we add some context?
He adjusted. Answer the question.
He adjusted and they won because Josh Allen's terrible. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I'm not arguing Buffalo.
The reason it has no bearing is because both teams are going to watch the tape and make adjustments. So I don't care what happened Week 18. It's a brand new ball game on Sunday for all the marbles in the AFC.
See, this is the only difference. We got to add context to it because
go ahead. Our guest is waiting, but go ahead and add your context.
Real quick, Week 5, the Chiefs was still terrible. They was losing all type of stuff. And after Week 5 or after that game, they turned it around. They was kicking butt. But what happened when they played Cincinnati the last week of the season when they were hot? They wasn't terrible anymore. They played Cincinnati, a real team who's also hot. And best versus best, they got beat. So how much adjustments can you make in 3 weeks?
I agree.
You had from Week 5 to get ready for the divisional. But now you got Week 18 to get ready for the AFC. It's different. It's different. You know, Khalid Kareem.
Can I ask you one question? Would you walk into the locker room and tell Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow to play the same game that they played and they'll win? Yeah, get behind by 21 points on Arrowhead on Sunday. Do that. Would you tell them to do it the same way, or would you tell them to make adjustments?
I say, look, you got Joe Burrow.
Go ahead, man.
You got Joe Burrow, so just keep him close. That's all I'm gonna say. Keep him close.
Lucky Lefty Podcast. We bring into the podcast former Notre Dame running back, friend of the program, friend to the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire, Cam McDaniel. Cam, welcome to the Lucky Lefty Podcast.
What's up, guys? Good to be on, man.
Man, Cam, thanks so much for joining, man. Thanks so much for joining. I love the jacket. You know, he always is on his fly guy stuff, man. So appreciate you joining the LL Nation.
ESQ special, man.
So, Cam, what would you say this journey that you've gone on from the time that you left Notre Dame and to what you're doing now? I definitely want to tap in with Atom Technologies and talk about that, because I think what you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. I don't want to actually talk about it from the standpoint of recovery, but I have to think you guys are thinking about implementing this into just basic everyday training in college football programs just to stay healthy on a general basis down the road. But before that, you come to Notre Dame in 2011 and you walk into the locker room. What is the state and the culture of Notre Dame when you get there as a freshman?
It was an interesting time because it was the beginning of the Brian Kelly era, really. And so we were watching the culture, shift kind of right before our eyes. Obviously, he was able to be there with the team in 2010. But that 2011 season, you could definitely, feel the shift and feel the transition. I feel like even my entire career at Notre Dame was a lot of just, shift and transition, a lot of quarterback changing back and forth. I mean, Malik can obviously sympathize with this, but there was so much of us really trying to find our identity and stay in that swagger. And I think it changed so much during the time I was there. But man, that initial 2011 just recruiting class, I remember walking into my dorm room and my roommates, I was in a quad. My roommates were Stephon Tuitt, Troy Nicholas, and Ben Koyak. And I was in the quad of the Giants. So I immediately picked the top bunk. It was funny because Stephon Tuitt would sleep above Troy Nicholas in the room next to me. And I would be like, man, that's a hazard, man. I don't know how you can sleep at all at night with that.
So you're walking into, like you said, the beginning of the Brian Kelly era. There's a lot of shift of, in my opinion, trying to find an identity. But through those shifts and those transitions, we were still really good. So what was that adjustment like for you in that competitive space? I mean, the team at that point, I thought was the biggest we've ever been, from just the size and height and everything. We were the biggest team at that point. So what was that competition like in transition with us still being good?
Man, it was just interesting to watch. It was interesting to watch because I think my freshman year, I think our talent pool was bananas, man. Like, it was I mean, when I got there, just the crew that we had, there were some cats, man. And I mean, there's a reason why ramping up into that 2012 season, just the culture that was being built there was really, I don't know, man. Like, there was something, it was interesting to watch all the talent. And yet there was just these like very small, like missing components. And you could just, it allowed me to see for the first time, like championship, like what's the difference between a championship level team and, I mean, at this level, a championship level team and just a team with a bunch of talent. Because we got that all over the place right now. All over the NCAA, there's teams with talent like crazy. And somebody was texting me, one of my friends is an LSU fan, and he's texting me about, do I think Brian Kelly will be successful at LSU? And man, I love my like former head coach and respect him for being a head coach or my head coach and giving me an opportunity. But I said, man, he has no excuse not to do well at LSU. He's got no excuse. Like the talent there, the talent, like you can pick whoever you want. And it's the same for whoever's the head coach at Texas. It's the same for whoever's the head coach at USC. It's the same for whoever's the head coach at Florida. Like all these schools, you just talent-wise, it'll never be an excuse. So that's why my personal convictions are, I think, when people are complaining about talent and stuff like that, we're blaming people, we're blaming platforms and organizations. And like, at the end of the day, championship teams don't have anybody to blame because they're in unity, like at a different level. Like they just sync together at a different level. And anybody that's been on a championship team can tell you that there is a different expectation between just the individual constituents of the overall collective consciousness of that team. It's a special thing. And when you're a part of it, you know it.
That's right.
The word that I want to pull from that is special. You go to the national championship game, even losing that game, the way the program was being built, there's no way you guys didn't go into that offseason feeling like we'll be back.
Yeah, no, there was we definitely carried that vibe. And I'll even say, just for like being a part of that national championship game that ultimately came out in that game, especially after a few just momentum stuff and just drama going on in the background. I know you guys remember kind of some of the Manti stuff and stuff. I mean, there was stuff happening that were just factors behind the scenes that I'm not saying. I mean, that Alabama team was ridiculously talented, but like when we came to play, man, like we showed up that year at some games and it was just magical. And there was something about that game where the magic wasn't there. I don't know if it's the person.
Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, Eddie Lacy, Nick Saban on coaching steroids. I don't know what it is, but oh man.
What was the most fun game that year? There was a lot of classic games. The Stanford game. You had going to Oklahoma, shutting up that fan base.
Yeah.
The USC sealing everything at the end of the year. For that entire year, with all the Pittsburgh comeback, which was fantastic.
Shoot, the Purdue game.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What game stood out the most from that season?
Shoot, dude. Like I said, so many like special moments. For me personally, the Oklahoma game meant a lot. I was Texas kid, growing up a Texas fan, going into Norman and being able to go in there and beat those guys just meant a lot. And it was actually super special as well because one of my former teammates had passed away the week before that, high school teammates, and I got to wear his number. It was the only time I ever wore number 21 in a tribute in the game, and actually had a heck of a game like on ST and got the game ball. And it was just for that type of moment, college game day, I believe, and just crazy scenario. It was special. It was fun.
And that's so true, man. You talk a lot too about just your experience at Notre Dame and what you've learned, especially being a part of special teams. Yeah. But they also talk about those 40 years that come after the Notre Dame. And I know you've been doing so many things while you was at school because you was really doing it while you was at school. But how did the 40 years of what Notre Dame, what you go for, the degree, how did that translate into life after football for you?
Yeah, no, I'm glad we're talking about this because I've been, I was listening to the whole podcast before, and I'm really intrigued right now with just the state of college football and where we're at, as is everybody, because it's, I don't know, it seems unpredictable at this moment. It seems like, okay, like, what are we going to do here? Because we just opened up a Pandora's box that we can't close.
Yeah.
And
definitely can't close it now.
Yeah. And man, I really, I loved my time at Notre Dame, and just the spirit of excellence, like on that place, is undeniable. As far as my degree, my perspective on degree is probably different than most people even going to Notre Dame, just because I come from an entrepreneurial household, and I believe that an education is really what you make it. I don't believe it's a degree. I don't believe it's a piece of paper that tells you like, and there are people that go and pursue that route for a very particular reason. And I think that that's special, and it should, if it's special to you, then that's all that's important. But to me, like, I was a philosophy major at Notre Dame, and so repping today, and man, like, people ask me all the time, "Oh, what are you planning on doing with that?" And I was like, "Man, whatever I want." Like, because I was looking to go to the funnest classes at ND, like the like professors that everybody was like, "Man, you got to get in this person's class." And those were the special experiences, man. Like at a place like Notre Dame, like you can't do that anywhere else. You can't do that at, some of these other even state schools or whatever. Like Notre Dame is a special place to be able to experience education in a completely different format. And even like my degree as a philosophy major at Notre Dame, I believe carries a lot of weight because of the language, the value that Notre Dame places in language arts and the celebration of arts. And that's what I'm most excited about, honestly, like in this era of college football, is I think we have the ability to see sports as an art form and artists, like athletes as individual artists, in a way that we've never been able to before. And this is where I think the NIL thing could shift in a very positive way if we're really cultivating and teaching kids to learn how to grow their own businesses. Like, just learn how to communicate, be you, be authentic, tell your story, and document the process because it's interesting and people want to hear it. Like, so many times we're chasing these idealistic views, especially when you're going into college. You're chasing these idealistic views of who you got to be, and people don't realize that that's ultimately not what you want to chase. You don't want to chase that going into school, because your expectations are probably going to be met with much more resistance than you anticipated. And some people can go in and they can slide in and they can do it all smooth and whatever. But then there's some people that face, serious adversity, like breaking an ankle or blowing a knee out or whatever, like just different, crazy circumstances that you can't really control. And to be able to focus on, just cultivating the authentic expression of yourself I think college is one of the best places you can do that.
Talking about that authenticity, you go on from Notre Dame, you play in the CFL.
Yeah.
And I'm paraphrasing, but and I'm sure you'll be able to connect with this from your faith and your entrepreneurial background. I believe scripture says time and chance happens to us all. And 2017, injury. Yeah. And you meet someone by the name of Mike Montoya. And just that meeting, changes your life and takes you down a different path. Like, just talk about that, the beginning of that and what it led to.
Totally. So this is a unique part of my story for those of you that don't know. Went up to Canada for a couple years. Got to play. I sported myself. I would never go play Canadian football, and then I did. Just wanting to go get a shot at it, though. I gained a whole new respect for a league of talent that's unbelievable and a game that's really so fun. Yeah. Like, I don't regret my time there at all. Montreal was such a beautiful city. That's where I spent my first year in the CFL. And then my second year at Toronto, got to win a Grey Cup with the Toronto Argonauts, which was amazing. Yeah. But at the beginning of that year, came in, had a tryout with the New England Patriots a few months before that. And they said, hey, like, if you get us some film at slot receiver, we would love to bring you in. Yeah, and of course. Maybe try to work you in it. And so I was trying to get that film at slot receiver, and was really like on track to do that. Was getting great feedback from the staff and kind of solidifying a number one role in the slot position. And 3 days into training camp, just partially tore my groin. And as a running back or a receiver, you guys know that that's not a good day. That can be season ending, 6 to 8 weeks, like, for sure. And so, just as Shaun was saying, met this cat named Mike Montoya who came, and And I didn't know what he was going to do at first. I just basically had a trusted friend that was like, hey, you got to see this guy. He does stuff different. And I'm telling you, like, he'll get you crazy results. I was like, whatever, man. Like, this was a guy that I trusted. And this, I mean, you guys know, like, as former athletes, like, when you are injured, you're doing whatever, like, whatever.
Yeah,
it takes.
like, it's like whatever, just throw it at me.
Yeah, you're like, if you've got somebody that can cast a spell and make this go away, I'm good. Like, make it happen. And so, yeah. And so, yeah, man, this guy started to explain to me like how he was about to do this electrotherapy on me that was different than, you know, TENS and STEM and stuff that I was used to. I was like, sounds good. And he was like, do you know that your body runs on electricity? And that question to me, like, really just, I don't know what it was. I think maybe it just like the philosophy mind or whatever, but it just caught me. Like, something about it was like, that seems like a really obvious, like, question
like,
and like an easy
but
answer, but like, what do you mean by that? And so that started the conversation. But after he finished this application on me, I felt like I was 25% better. Like, I couldn't walk around the room without limping. And then I was walking no problem. And I was like, how does this, there's no way that this just happened. And so I was kind of like skeptical about it. And he kept coming back, doing the application. 10 days later, I was 100% getting ready to play in the first preseason game of the year. And I was like, man, this doesn't happen. Like, this is like
disbelief.
Yeah. Like, I've watched, like, Shaun, you mentioned, you know, being a believer, being someone that like believes in the power of prayer and just that love can like create instantaneous healing. Like, right there, I've seen it happen before in kind of a metaphysical way. Like, this to me was like one of those creative miracles. It was like love coming in and being like, boom, like, I'm going to rock your world right here. I'm going to rock your paradigm of what you think like healing looks like. And that's when I was hooked on that from that day on. Like, I was just like, why is this not everywhere? And why are people not, like, I'm not talking about just athletes and performance, because I love all that and that's a passion of mine, but like, why is this not why is this this type of innovative tech, like, why is it not in every PT clinic in the nation? And it's a really interesting like deep dive and study for like how I ended up choosing to kind of go down that path and really working on technology that I believe develops the future of what we will, you know as neurotherapy, which is going to be using modern day electrotherapeutic applications or bioelectric applications to facilitate natural, accelerated, sustainable healing in the body in ways that, you see on like movies, you see on like Marvel,
it's like
and stuff
med
like
beds
that.
Almost like a med.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there really is, Malik. There's such crazy technology around accelerated healing. It's just science in and of itself is kind of like a religion these days. Like, there's multiple denominations and streams of and like, you got to like choose your camp and you defend it with your life and, defy logic and reason. And just like, I'm going to defend this perspective because it's now like charged beyond something that's actually just science and just looking at it. And so in order to really move things along, we got to push for something a little bit more, I think the best way to say it would be like purple, not red or blue, not politically charged or whatever. We got to be thinking, especially in terms of medicine, like science, stuff like that. We got to be thinking in terms of purple, and we have to be able to have conversations about this stuff that aren't so charged that we can't get anything done. So
Cam's a real one, man. You didn't think you was gonna get some Dr. Oz info on here.
No, it's very intriguing because just going back and reading the story of how you met Mike and now how you build this company, Atom Technologies, and then you get to a point where your younger brother, deals with an injury in his life, and he chooses rather than surgery, to go ahead and use this type of technology. For his healing process and to get back on the field. Just talk about that, being connected to your younger brother and him entrusting what you've gone through and developed to help him in his path.
No surgery?
So Malik, that was your injury compound?
It wasn't compound, but it definitely tore up everything in my legs.
Yeah. So TJ's was like that. It was intense. It wasn't compound, so it wasn't like Dax. If you go back and look, you can look even at the TV, like the TV film or TV footage. You can see that TJ resets his ankle like on the ground, which is crazy.
Wow.
But like he reset his ankle on the field, and I think that was one of the reasons, like that made this possible in a lot of ways, I believe, by resetting that ankle so quickly, because the dislocation was just millimeters off. And when we looked at it, and if you understand how all biological tissue is connected through electrochemical reactions, but it's predetermined and governed by the electrical component of that. And so understanding that ultimately that tissue is designed and wants to grow back together. Like it has its own unique molecular code that's very specific to that sort of tissue.
Yeah.
And that tissue wants to grow back together. It wants to heal, because that's what our bodies have been designed to do. They've been designed to biologically heal themselves. And there's a biological healing process. But in today's, like the way that we look about that today, a lot of times we've looked at it as, oh, well, this has to have surgery because these things are torn. And we use terminology like complete tear and things like that. And a complete tear, like you can talk to a doctor that actually does imaging. A complete tear doesn't mean, like, I'll give you an example of this piece of paper right here. Like a complete tear doesn't mean like this. It means, like, it can mean that. That's a complete tear. And so when we look at this imaging and we start to look at it through a different lens, that's really what it is. It's just a different lens at recovery. And when we looked at this, we thought we can accelerate a biological healing here. So we can use our technology to really just create the environment necessary for his body to heal naturally. And it did. All the ligaments that we were told, would never heal back properly, the bones that they didn't think were going to be able to grow back together effectively, they did. And the imaging, shows that it did very favorably as well. And the alternative to that is screws and plates. And my middle brother, like, he broke his hand before I knew anything about the atom, and like he's got screws and plates in his hands, and he's already got like onset arthritis. All my buddies that have had these surgeries, by the time they're 30, they're feeling like the arthritic effects pretty strongly. And man, that yeah, man. And so my passion with this is, if we can create an alternative that, I think it's going to be better short term as well. I think that athletes will actually get back faster if they choose molecular surgery sometimes, but they'll also have sustainable healing for the long term that is their own biological tissue that's designed to communicate with the nervous system effectively and doesn't create things, residual arthritis and things like that. So yeah, man, that is a lot of the kind of 30,000 foot overview passion of Adam and like what Adam Technologies is. We definitely want to, set a precedence for really just looking at it right now as physical therapy and trying to keep it like simple, because we can execute there really well, and we can increase movement functionality, reduce pain without any sort of like opioids or, just pharmaceuticals that are pain masking, and really engaging things at the source and at the neurological level. And Shaun, like, what's really exciting about that though, from the performance side, is like when you start talking about the nervous system and like what you can do for performance, like it gets crazy, man.
So do you foresee, like, big picture? Because like I said, I'm intrigued, and I'm saying to myself, how can a college football program not see this and say on a daily basis after practice or just getting our guys back to 100% health during the week, how can we not use this mindset of this technology to help and aid our strength and conditioning on a daily basis? Do you see it getting to that point in the future?
Totally. I've been talking to the human performance director at TCU right now. Coach Kaz Kazidi is a guy that just on a personal level been able to connect with. And as far as the philosophy of what we're doing, I believe he totally gets that. He's been just a great support, like overall for the tech, and just an advocate for like what we're doing. And I've really enjoyed just being able to like find relationships like that where people are, and it has to be, is new. So you got to like be able to think outside the box with this stuff. Like this is not for everybody. And I'm not trying to be for everybody. Maybe it will be one day, but like there's going to be pioneers that get behind this, and their football programs are going to they're going to experience the benefits of their athletes being neurologically conditioned. Like, because what you can,
that's the next step. I mean, I think a lot of these programs, and I can even speak to Notre Dame, because I tried to bring data science towards Notre Dame, and it's just like in a recovery standpoint, or even analytics, when you're training and stuff, everybody is focused on that. In my opinion, the old paradigm of is data, is weight lift, is surgery, it's a STEM machine, but like you said, we discovered new things, and the stuff you've seen on Netflix where they using frequencies to build back things together because that's in nature and they just know how to, that stuff's real. And that's the missing piece of what, in my opinion, like you said, college football is changing with the NIL. And I think it's changing the mentality on recovery because of how important the money is getting. So this type of technology and stuff, like you said, I think is a spiritual connection that you have to have. And believing in medicine like this, because it's not something physical where you can like put a plate and screws and we patch it up together and good luck 30 years
but the data is pretty, I believe, undeniable too. Like right now we're working on a kid that chose to be, he heard TJ's story and he wants to do molecular surgery with his ACL. And he's 10 weeks out right now, and he was practicing with a soccer team the other day. And his imaging looks remarkable, man. And for like, we've kind of let him know, like, man, this is uncharted waters. So like, we believe we have an idea of what we're going to do. And he knows like, I can go get surgery later if I want to, but I want to try to play my senior year of soccer, even if I can only do it like half the season or whatever. So for him, he's not a guy looking to go play later on in college and stuff like, so this is a different scenario. And he's just like intrigued. I worked on his brother for a labrum tear that he had, and he got remarkable results and was able to play, the final part of his senior year of baseball like a few years ago. And he just came back and was like, hey, I know this worked for my bro. Here's my scenario. I want to try it with you guys. I love what y'all are doing. And like, those are the kind of scenarios and stories that ultimately lead to like really cool, revolutionary moments and actually consciousness and the way that we think about, how are we going to do medical, growing up with art, like.
True.
Yeah.
Well, Cam's definitely got something on the horizon.
Yeah. So like, every time when I'm seeing this, I'm seeing this for my kids now. I'm seeing this for the next generation. Like I want this to be something that really stimulates generational consciousness towards a type of healing that is beyond just masking pain. Like we got to stop treating pain like it's anything other than a symptom. Like it is a symptom. Like pain is symptomatic, and we have to utilize that as an indicator to show us what is the source here. And what really gets fun about this is like the last part of what I really love to do, which is always leading back to identity and always, like working with a bunch of injured athletes, we're always able to, talk about identity. We're always able to get down to different fears and things that like are existing there, even at the subconscious level. And you're able to address those fears. And guys, fearless athletes that are neurologically conditioned, that's the future. Like that's where you get a Patrick Mahomes, who's like, he like fundamentally, he's excellent at the fundamentals, but his ability to creatively do stuff that you've never seen before is bananas. Like how awesome is that you can get a QB that can just, is comfortable enough to just do these sidearms, jump, like not like feet not planted on the ground, throwing underneath a player's arm. Like that type of stuff only comes from this fearlessness that ultimately athletes are now they're chasing that. They're chasing like, how do I get to that stage? Because I think wasn't Patrick Mahomes' 40 time like Peyton Manning's like speed or something like that?
When he was in the game, I don't know how they don't catch him.
So it's not like this is again. These are the tangibles. Like these are the things that we measure as like, oh, this defines an athlete. And a lot like the greatest that ever lived, like Barry Sanders, you can't
measure creativity.
Yeah, man. And it was neurologically crazy too, like his acceleration and stuff like that. But we couldn't measure, like we weren't measuring his vectors and his acceleration capacity and different, like we weren't measuring that stuff. We were like saying, oh, he runs a 4.6 40 and he's 5'7", 200 pounds, blah, blah. And so we were labeling him as that.
Right.
And because he went out there and was putting up, NCAA 2004 numbers on like in season mode, just winning the Heisman Trophy and doing what he was doing, he was able to go, be, an iconic player in the league. But we have to like remember like those particular anomalies and why they're the greatest. They're the greatest because they were fearless on the field, man. There was just like their neurological creativity, their ability to effectively solve problems, better than the next guy is what made them the better running back on the depth chart. Not because they could bench more, or they could,
and
run
that's
40
not a
faster.
Thing you build on the field. These are all things that are outside of the field of, we're so used to, all right, we got to get these ladder drills in, got to run these heels, we got to do these workouts. But this is the type of training that's, you got to sit down, you got to, do like these programs, but that's what's really giving you that extra inch. You talk about LeBron James using $1 million to take care of his body. I believe some of that is this stuff. Just like Steph Curry. There you can't tell, Steph Curry's in California where he's getting different treatment, like those salt baths where he does the floating tape is neurologically calm. It's so much, we need that in college sports, but it's such an old, rusty business format of churning farm players out where they don't really care about the recovery. Still is inclined to physical therapy. Still, and the only thing good in the physical therapy in any college football facility is the ice bath and the cold tub.
I met that just on that note, and then I want to bring something else up, see if you guys want to talk about it really quick. But on that note, I met the founder, like the guy that invented the TENS unit, and this guy does not talk about TENS units anymore. He talks about essential oils. Like he promotes essential oils all day long. And I talked to another doctor from Jerusalem who's like, man, when the research comes out about what TENS units have done to actually affect tissue from being able to think about all the non-contact injuries that have been that we see year in and year out, and like knees, ankles, like when you put those sticky pads on your leg and you're trying to recover, where are they putting them? And all the muscle capacitors that are supposed to neurologically support your knee and all the ligaments in there, or your ankle and all the ligaments in there. And so if the science comes out that stuff was actually neurologically affecting players in a negative way, I'll be interested to see what happens there in the lawsuits that could potentially. But this is why you got to use electricity intelligently. Like you can't just stick your finger in a light socket. Like that's not going to be a good day for you. But like we got to think of electricity like with the versatility of something like water. In fact, like you wouldn't have water if it wasn't for electricity, because electricity foundationally is how atoms exchange valence electrons. So like there's so much versatility, like just the realm of like electricity is life. Everything that is life or bios has to be defined electrically. That's why we measure it electrically when we're measuring life. Like if you want to measure a life source, It's got to be measured through a waveform that we measure through electron flow. So, okay, the one thing that I wanted to bring up, and we can talk about it just briefly or whatever you guys think. But have you guys talked about NFTs on here, just in regard to NIL and like all of that?
Yeah,
I'm big on NFTs, you know.
We
haven't talked about it, but it's a new age thing for guys. Like people still trying to get what it is, but I'll be on it.
I mean, I think it's an interesting conversation just in regards to NIL, because I think that once athletes figure out what NFTs are, the whole conversation of all this stuff changes. I mean, just like night and day. Have you guys seen on Apple TV the morning show with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon?
Yep.
You know that part where she she comes to the people in the network and they're like scolding her for like going out of line and going off script and stuff like this. Yep. And then she just puts her hands on the table and she's like, "Are you guys done yet? Like, are you done? You don't realize who's driving the ship around here now. Like, you guys are hands off. Like, I have complete control of this. This is me." Right. And the athletes are going to realize that at some point. They're going to be like, we have complete control of how this thing goes, because without us, like, you don't exist. Mm-hmm. And in the realm of NFTs, like all of that content and digital like art, or not,
it could be blockchain.
Dude, all of it
can use it as creating even groups. Like, you know, some people that have these NFTs, they're super expensive because if you can buy it, you're in a group of expensive people talking about whatever you want. It's crazy.
Yeah, but even beyond that, like, think about it like this, Malik. Think about it as like consciousness that you want to get behind. So, like, for example, you and like what you stand for as Malik Zaire and your brand of who you are, like, you want to get behind consciousness and projects that are like pushing towards things that ultimately you want, you know. And this is where I think NFTs allow us to see things in the term like as they are as an art form, and their like relevance as an art form, and then also gives us the ability to start talking about legacy in a way that we, you know, I think that's what needs to come back into the conversation with all these topics. When you're talking about problems, you need to bring legacy into it, because you got to, like, what does this mean for the next generation? Like, what does this mean for, you know, 20 years down the road and the kids that are going to be playing 20 years down the road? We have to be thinking like that, because things are shifting, and they're shifting so fast, so fast. So I'm stoked to see
artificial intelligence, you know, using neurodevelopment. We're battling against artificial AI. So
hey, that's biological intelligence is the answer to that. So
it's the answer. That's why I'm on your side. I'm not on.
It is, man. I think so. My since we're just going there on this, so like
it's not a Notre Dame football chat anymore. We're talking.
Yeah, we're going into Notre Dame philosophy now. So like my like belief system is always like, I'm always favorable towards the human race, because I believe the Creator favors like humans. I believe he favors creation. I believe that love favors created, like, you know, the creation that is bios. And so I think that the more we tap into what we understand as biological intelligence, and what the just you can get your mind blown just understanding how self-sufficient we really can be in the realm of biology. It's just nuts. Like, the amount of power that's in an oak tree can like power a city, if we really learned how to like channel that properly. So I think that things ultimately, like, and here, like, this is long term, but like, I feel that things end up actually going back towards a garden state, and towards, you know, more like something like you would see off of, Avatar or something like that, versus versus, you know, this post-apocalyptic, very like, you know, really
daunting things. They're very
just heavy. Like, heavy. It makes you like really feel like, oh well, I hope I'm not part of that generation that gets killed by all the robots. Like, it's like such a terrible thing. And then we're putting that on our kids, like, psychologically. Like, no, let's not treat that like a joke. Let's be proactive on how, you know, we can do this well, and like do this with the next generation in mind. So
That's right.
Speaking of NIL, you probably missed out on one of the biggest NIL moments that existed at Notre Dame.
Yeah, your picture is still making money to this day.
October 19, 2013. Everybody knows the iconic photo that was taken.
Yeah.
Iconic.
And, you know, I had to do my research on it because, you know, I looked at it again. And I'm like, wait a minute. I wonder if Cam actually saw the photographer when he snapped the picture.
Just
because there are
locked
certain
eyes,
moments.
70 yards away. Just saw it. Just like, here we go. Just
And
get
then
it.
I thought about it and I said, no, there's no way he saw that guy snap that picture.
Eagle eyes, man. I
mean, you was
Eagle
like,
powers.
He was locked in, like you knew where he was at, and the face was just so like, man, I don't know how you did it to this day, but that's an NFT. That's an NFT.
Exactly, that's right. I'm gonna.
That's an NFT. You still making money. That's $1 million NFT. Man.
Exactly, that's right. That's why I'm not worried about NIL anymore. And you know, I don't think other athletes have to be because they have the ability to do that. Like. People don't realize that their biomechanic, their unique biomechanic of running a route the way that they do, and they're the only one that does that. That's a unique piece of art that nobody else has done. Like you start looking at just the way players move, that now can be determined as art, which I think is fantastic because we are entertainers and I really believe this could be an awesome time, you know, to start redefining sport as a creative art form, you know, over just a performing art because, you know, performing art's good and that's part of it. Like we love the competition. We love to like compete and we love to have these conversations about why, like what Notre Dame needs to do to be the best. And, you know, other schools are having those conversations about their schools and like all that's fun. Yeah. But like at the end of the day, if we're not focusing on the mental health of these athletes and like their futures and what's going on next and teaching them how to, you know, integrate into a society and that their identity isn't associated with a sport, man, that's big stuff that we have to start doing for the sake of, again, the next generation, because too many, I've lost friends in this industry because their identity was latched on to something that wasn't truly their identity. And man, like we have the ability to like shift that and change the conversation right now, man. I'm on this show. I'm on this show because like we're able to talk about stuff. And Malik texted me, he said, we're just going to be real on here. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm all about. So like, let's do it. Let's be real. Let's have these conversations about how we can effectively make sport for us again, instead of making it to where, you know, we create this, you know, weird, you know, performance-based industry thing where we're giving athletes guilt trips about skipping, you know, their last bowl game that's not the national championship because they're making a business decision. And they've been told that like this is business from there and like from the time they were in the by the time they were really a kid. I mean, I see some of these
kids are training now like professional athletes, and it's sick. It's like y'all gotta
just have fun, man. Just have fun. Like go find some place to have fun again. Like we gotta
kid has a trainer. No, my kid's not having no trainer till at least high school. Because come on, what do I need a trainer where every day we doing lifting and stuff? It's like go play sports, get into chess club, get you thinking different. You know,
my daughter's 6 years old and our coach was talking about how he went and scouted the other team for the championship game. I was like, bro, like, come on, man. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, I just wanted one of those Obi-Wan, like, kind of moments where he just, like, does the mind control thing and is like, go home and rethink your life. And like, that was one of those moments. I was just like, bro, like, there is so much more that we can be doing to contribute to, you know, these people having fun on a Saturday morning and just having an experience that they enjoy. And it can't always be, and dude, I love to win as much as anybody else. Malik can tell you, like, I am a competitor, man. Like I loved Malik because I was like, this guy's a gamer. As soon as he gets onto the field, like we just vibe. I mean, me and him went in against Arizona State, almost came back and it was, dude, I was stoked. I was like, me and Malik are about to get in here and come back and win this game. And there's just something about
That might be. We asked LL Nation last week what was the most upset they've ever been at the Notre Dame game. I think that might be in my top 3. I might have to make some adjustments. I was upset at that Arizona State game.
I was sick. I was
heated. I was heated.
I was heated too, man. I was crushed. Dude, Corey, I love you. You're like one of my favorites.
Oh,
the one drop of Corey Robinson's life just on that curl, man. I know you remember it. And then I got dusted down the sideline. I was trying so hard to make that play. Corners are fast, man. They're so fast. I got to play corner, actually, so I guess I'm kind of fast.
Let's have some fun, right? Because I've been on this quest to find out who is the absolute best athlete ever in the football program at Notre Dame.
Okay.
An athlete goes beyond just the gridiron.
Yeah.
So I've asked everybody this question. Your time in Notre Dame. I can't wait to see what this answer is going to be. At your time in Notre Dame, who was the best hooper on the team?
Oh my gosh, the best hooper. That's so hard for me to answer because I never played basketball with any of the guys. I was that white guy that couldn't play basketball, so I just didn't do it. I played soccer, man. I grew up in white suburban Texas Bible Belt area, man. Like I was playing travel soccer.
It was a special case though for Cam, man. Like you said, man, the basketball for the football team hooping was really like.
Well, he had to hear the stories, though. He had to hear the stories because I know you guys trash talk each other about basketball all the time.
Dude, what was funny was dude, I feel like you and Ev went in all the time on basketball talk.
All the time. Ev was competitive, but he would always talk stuff about basketball. And I'm like, we play basketball. You know what I mean? We great times with Ed, man. I miss Ed. We gotta get him on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's special. That guy, he was a special athlete, man. He was. I don't know. I didn't watch him play basketball other than some of the highlights I saw, of him playing when we were getting recruited at the same time. And I was like, okay, this kid can play in multiple, he's versatile in multiple areas. So
I'm letting you know, Shaun, he plays basketball like Russell Westbrook.
What's wrong with that?
I'm just letting you know who he plays like. I'm not saying it's good or bad.
So basically, you're saying it's outside shot. I can't wait to talk to Ev now.
Yeah, man.
He's basically saying he doesn't have an outside shot. That's really
no. I'm saying
you shouldn't be saying that when the man's not on the show.
I'm saying he's going to go 94 feet.
Okay.
He's not passing it.
Okay.
He's going for all rebounds, all defensive plays. That's Ev. He's taking the last shot. Don't ask if it's tied up 11-11. And we looking for somebody. He's taking it. Don't let him take it out of bounds.
Is he the type to call foul though when it's game point?
100. Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course.
He's not about to let you walk out that game with him feeling like he got fouled when it was just a bad shot. No way. But he's athletic.
I'm glad we're talking about this because I sit and offline. Malik and I talk about the quarterbacks that have come through the Notre Dame program, especially under Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
And it's as you touched on it early on, just obscene amount of talent on the roster. And you're looking around what's going on? Why does it seem like quarterbacks during your time and then after you left just haven't been able to develop and take that next step to become elite quarterbacks at Notre Dame?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I guess it just depends on what you define as a lead. Are you talking about first round draft pick type guys? Because I feel like we've had great Ian Book, Deshaun, Malik. Malik's time right when I left, it was he was playing at another level, bro. And then Deshaun comes in and picks up and and he plays at another level, like just, turns on his game. And that just, again, shows the talent that's always there. You can be as great as Malik was and like get in the Heisman race and do all that. And then you got a guy like Shaun that comes in behind him, and it's just, that's how it was a running back. Like every time there was the ability to like go in and make a case for, you being the guy.
It meant so much.
Yeah.
Every time you got out there, it's like, damn, it might just be my last just because of whatever. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think when it comes to your question, though, I think maybe the better question is, what would stop a quarterback that is at the elite level from seeing a legacy like Notre Dame and not wanting to be a part of something like that and going and creating something that's like, I mean, the last QB that we had that had that sort of hype that I think all of Notre Dame Nation kind of looks for is like that Brady Quinn type. And I don't know, man, like I'm all for the gamers. Like I like the guys that are just fearless, like when they go out there, man. Like that's the quarterback that I want to be with. I want to be with the guy that, like, he just knows at the end of the day that the cats around him are all that he needs to go win.
Yeah.
And dude, when you get a quarterback that's got that type of like that kind of confidence, it's different. Like there's a lot of guys that feel like they know that they can do it like themselves. And I like that. I think that you need that in a way. I think that you need that almost like confidence that almost comes across as like cockiness or arrogance sometimes to like some. But then there's also like, as the quarterback, you have to understand that you help define and set the tone for the collective consciousness of that offense and ultimately that team. Like, and there are ways that, I mean, your mindset is so important to leading that. Like, and it can be anybody. It doesn't have to be the quarterback, but the quarterback, like, there's something special about that position, man. Like it defines the physical momentum of the game that actually like translates into what I believe like the metaphysical momentum of the overall team. And so, I don't know if that completely answered the question, but
no, I think you opened my eyes with your original statement when you talked about the abundance of talent, because we deal with it all the time, talking to our listeners and LL Nation, and they constantly talk about the, number 5 stars that Alabama and Georgia have, and we only have 2 or 3 on the roster.
Yeah.
Until we close that gap, we won't be able to win a national championship. And that, to me, it's kind of lazy to just go ahead and pick that low-hanging fruit.
It's an excuse.
Yeah. And
it just is.
That's where you have to get coaching and development, which, look, if I know my team isn't as talented as a coach, I'm excited, because that means I need to coach hard. That gives me an opportunity to show just how good of a coach I can be.
That's right.
Yeah.
To put my team in a position to show that they're good enough to stack up against these guys. And
Did y'all watch 12 Mighty Orphans?
I have not.
Movie? I haven't seen it.
Okay. Check it out. Like, I think it's one of the most amazing things that ever happened in high school football, like history. Like the whole nation got behind, this group of individuals, but ultimately it's about a coach that leaves a good head football coaching job at Temple, goes to a small school or small orphanage in Fort Worth, and develops a football team that ends up competing with the best teams in Texas in the 1930s, and develops the wishbone offense and the shotgun offense simultaneously. So innovation, creativity, and culture, the things that you're talking about, are what define like these winning teams. There aren't, like, people are looking for this in the talent pool. And I'm telling you guys, talent is everywhere. Like, it's everywhere. And I mean, I think I just retweeted something about like all the stars right now that we're watching in the divisional playoff games.
Yeah.
Like, how many 5 stars are in that list? I mean, like, talent and creativity, you got to, like, it's creativity. Like, we got to start looking at creativity as a indicator for potential, like, I don't know how to put it, but potential dominating play, like players that, again, are fearless and have the ability to innovate and create in ways that are unique and can get comfortable with their team and do the stuff that, again, like we were talking, like a guy like Patrick Mahomes is able to do because he's so like comfortable with his team, and he set the tone of that collective consciousness in such a way that it's like things just happen. Or like Brady as another great example. Like Brady was just like, things were just falling into his lap. It felt like it was just, everything was happening the way that, like, you just know Tom Brady's gonna give you a run for it at the end because he's Tom Brady and he's got those intangibles, kind of like Michael Jordan always had. Like, just there's something about him that when he steps on the court, he just knows that like I'm a huge part of what makes this sport special.
Yeah.
And dude, that level of thinking, that's a dangerous level of thinking.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you're going to start to see, you'll see the special things that I know we all want to see at Notre Dame through like a team that ends up coming into unity in ways that are just unique, because there's so many ways to be divided right now, like with all the NIL stuff and all the drama outside of, like, it's a really great opportunity for a team to come in and be extremely disruptive if they want to, by coming into unity and like creating that level of communication that's absolutely seamless. And again, when you're on a team like that, you know it's special. You just feel it. It's just different. There's something different about it.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Cam, you have to answer this question because this podcast is a chocolate chip oatmeal raisin podcast. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Oatmeal raisin or chocolate chip, which could you ever have to eat?
And it's only one answer, baby.
I actually like the chocolate chip oatmeal raisin cookies
from Potbellies, or
I like the blended, the blended version.
Interesting.
If I'm just, if I have to choose between the two, I'm choosing chocolate chip. Because chocolate chip with milk is just like, you can't go wrong. But like, if I'm getting it my way, I'm getting the blend. I'm getting the hybrid.
See, I like that.
Cam, what did you think about that performance by that particular quarterback for the Buffalo Bills on Sunday? Pretty good performance, wouldn't you say?
Dude, I heard you guys talking about this earlier. Oh man,
Malik is like one of the biggest haters I've.
Malik, I don't know how you hate on him, man. He is a gamer. Like, he's a total gamer, man.
Yeah, but gamers got to win too. Now, I like that he's entertaining, but shoot, I'd go to a concert if I want that.
That's true. He does got that curse of the Buffalo Bills that he's dealing with. We could get Doug Flutie on here to talk about that a little bit.
Well, hopefully, if his entertainment can equal some more wins, I'll be a Josh Allen fan too.
Yeah, I think you'll see it. I think you'll see it in the future. I think what we saw, what we've seen this last 2 years is the beginning of a really cool rivalry that will continue to define itself. I think just in the competition of two brilliant athletes that are able to, lead their teams in a way that I think that was one of the funnest games I've watched in a while in the NFL, man. Obviously everybody was saying it. This last weekend was nuts. It was just.
Man, wait till you see the one this weekend with the Chiefs and the Bengals. That might even be topping that.
Dude, that's good. I'm looking forward to that, man. Joe Burrow's fun. He's fun.
That's right. You heard that. You heard that.
Yeah.
Creative, fun, fundamental.
Exactly, man. That's what I like about him. He's got a swagger and something about him. I know you guys. I think you were talking about him about being a top 5 quarterback and all of this, and I think that it would be. I think that he's definitely one of the most confident quarterbacks in the league right now. I think he's a top 5 at his confidence level, as he should be. And that's how you develop into an actual, where everybody is undisputed. Yeah, that's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. That gets you there. So I think he's on track to being, something special in the league.
Well, I hope you can be here to support Malik neurologically on Monday. because his Bengals more than likely will be on vacation, and he's going to need that support because I'm not giving him any support.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I don't need it. Look,
I'm gonna torture him for that full hour.
Josh Allen played the best he could and couldn't get it done. Joe Burrow got to just play 1% better, and we in the Super Bowl, baby. He might have to get tickets, man.
He has to play 1% better than who?
1% better than what Allen played.
Do you see the game that Josh Allen just put up?
I'm sorry. Joe Burrow just has to be 13 seconds better. That's all we need. Bingo country, stand up.
What if playoff P is the one with the ball with 13 seconds? Joe Burrow's on the sideline. What are you talking about?
We're not even talking about the fact that Josh Allen is not good because, first of all, who choose tails and heads or tails?
You're being very.
Who choosing tails and heads or tails? It's heads. Everybody chooses heads. So yeah, he not only lost the coin toss, he lost twice in one game. Who chooses tails?
Oh my gosh,
that's funny. I'll never choose tails because he's always ahead. Heads. You know,
I never choose tails as a captain.
That's what I'm saying.
That's true. That's true. I would like to point out that you are being totally dismissive of Patrick Mahomes in this game. I understand you love Joe Burrow, but there is another dude that's going to be throwing the ball around.
Oh,
just
man.
Like KD. Like KD. He's going to get his 40.
He's not
that?
Yeah. I'm sure of that.
But
I know I would never bet against Patrick Mahomes. That's all I'm saying. Like, I love Joe Burrow. I think he's amazing. I like to celebrate all athletes' individual artistry, and like I respect it. Patrick Mahomes is a magician, bro. You know, so like, and then when it comes to scenarios like this, he's definitely made his presence known over the last 4 years, and he doesn't look like he's stopping anytime soon. So
we did the show yesterday, right? So we end the show, and I'm watching TV, and I had not seen the Travis Kelce clip post game, and Kelce's like, "Yeah, that like we made that play up on the fly." And he's like, "That wasn't the route that was called."
See, they can say anything when you win. You can say anything.
Like, Andy sends in the play, and we're in the huddle. And he's like, "I tell Patrick, look, I'm not running that route. I'm just going to run to the open space."
Yeah.
And Patrick says, "Okay." And they go to the line of scrimmage, and you hear Patrick say, "Do it.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Kelce like, "Yeah, do it.
That's
see the same space. Do it." And that's why he double clutches on the throw to give him time to get to the open space. That type of special, dude, we talked about this.
Yeah.
Who has, at the end of games, there is no other team that has a trio that can hit the switch like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
Dude.
But like, look at that, man. Like Patrick Mahomes, he's like a composer, and he's got his symphony, and he's got those guys that if they got that level of confidence, and they have the confidence that Patrick can get them the ball in situations that. Dude, again, that's the stuff that you like look for, that is special, because nobody's just doing that stuff.
No,
like
that's the artistry and everything.
Exactly.
About. Yeah,
exactly. It's the ability to improvise in a scenario where it's all on the line, and like to creatively solve the problem more effectively than your opponent. And like what happens most of the time with like these teams is they get too conservative in areas where they, are ahead or what, like, and they stop using their creativity out of fear of getting beat. And that's when you're.
It was scared. Tom Brady.
Bro, I don't know. Like you can't let Tom Brady just get that sort of momentum, or maybe you just can't not let him get that sort of momentum. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know which one it is. But there's definitely something about keeping your pedal on the gas. I'm a proponent of that. So
before we let you go, Cam, you have to have, the return of Harry Hiestand. Everybody's excited.
Yeah.
Malik tells me all the time that Harry used to get it crunk in practice. Like, you be over here, all of a sudden you hear Harry like on the other side of the field just going in. Like, give me a Harry Hiestand story that you remember from your time in Notre Dame.
Dude, I want to turn Malik. I think you'll get this. I want to turn Harry Hiestand's jump that he does, like when he gets like when he gets mad, you know, like that next level mad, he turns into a cartoon character and like both of his feet go like out, but his heels are together and he jumps like straight up and he just grabs his hat and throws it on the ground every time. It's a classic.
Take the hat.
Oh, man. Dude. But a guy that's respected by his room, dude, there wasn't any position coach I don't think that was respected as much as Coach Easton was with his group. And the talent that he puts into the league year in and year out is like, I mean, it's undeniable. So I got to give those players credit too, because obviously like they have helped with that reputation that he has. But man, like awesome dude. Just yeah, man. I just think his players are connected to him. Does that make sense? Like players can, you know, they can like you, they can deal with you or put up with you or whatever. But when your players are connected, you know, that's again, that's the special stuff. That's the stuff that you got to have. You got to have. It's not just about business at that point. There's something beyond that, and I think that Coach Easton brings that to the table, and so that's why I'm excited. I know that offensive line is just going to continue to do amazing stuff as they do year in and year out, and bring in, you know, guys that they're going to be sending in the league every year and whatnot. It's just
crazy.
Coach Easton's great at that.
So, Cam McDaniel, we appreciate you joining the Lucky Lefty podcast.
Yeah, man. Loved it.
It has been a pleasure for me, professionally and just personally, to sit and have this conversation with you today.
They have to rewatch this one, man.
Yeah, we hope to have you back very soon. LL Nation is already tapping in saying, yo, have him weekly. We need Cam weekly.
That's awesome.
Enjoyed the conversation, and we're definitely going to stay connected to you, man, and return the blessings and to you and your family and to your technologies company and everything you're doing, because it has a greater purpose. I think people need to recognize that, you know, more than anything, it has a bigger purpose, and hopefully that purpose will be recognized by others and they can be blessed by it.
Thanks, man. That's real.
No, I appreciate you, man. And Malik, I just want to encourage you, bro. Like I love what the community that you're creating here, first and foremost. Like, wouldn't be on here if I didn't love that community and love you and just what you represent. And dude, just want to keep encouraging you as you're having these conversations around these topics that like need to be talked about right now. Just like, I would love to continue that dialogue with you on just really pushing for the celebrating of athlete, like in sports, being celebrated as a creative art form, man. Like that's the stuff that, you know, I know for Notre Dame, like wanting to win a national championship, like these are the things, like the consciousness that we have to, and the philosophy that we really got to bring to the overall organization, to where everything becomes streamlined at that point. You begin to know what you want to do, you know, psychologically, like with your team, you kind of have that like concept of what you want to instill tactically, technically, all the perspective on therapy and all the stuff that we've talked about. So, yeah, man, fun show. Like, love the topics that you guys bring up. So it's been awesome.
Thanks, man.
All right. As always, subscribe, share, like, let us know that you like the Lucky Lefty podcast. Cam, we'll tap in with you soon.
Thanks, Shaun.
All right.
Thanks, Cam.
Yo, that was Cam McDaniel, former Notre Dame running back, right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. That was, man, that conversation, top notch. Top notch.
Yeah, top notch, man. We appreciate it.
Petticoat. Petticoat Junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty historic? Petty Junction.
Petticoat Junction.
Petty Junction, each and every day. Pettiest stories of the day. And I have to nominate because I thought they were fronting on the Buffalo Bills in the press conference, man. You know, like, yeah, you know, he just switched up the play, just made up a play at the line of scrimmage in the huddle.
Hey, when you win, you can talk that stuff like that.
That's so disrespectful to Leslie Frazier.
Threw it up in the sand. What a big deal. That's crazy. But you know, it's only petty because the defense did exactly what we all knew they shouldn't do.
Right.
They played off. They acted like they didn't have to get a field goal, and they were protecting the end zone. And it's just panicked at the wrong moment.
So on top of that pettiness, man, I have to throw this dude, 50 Cent, man. Look, this dude has to stop, man. Leave Thierry Marie alone. We put him on a petty train for this over a week ago, and he's still tweeting about this young lady. Still. I don't understand, dude. Let the young lady live, man.
50's gonna keep going until he gets his money, man. You know, he needs some more money to keep writing for that show.
And I have to put Kanye West on the petty train. That's my guy. Look, man, leave Pete Davidson alone, man.
Why?
Because if you're really that dude, you're not worried about Pete Davidson, man.
Nah, Pete Davidson was lurking in the bushes the whole time. That's the problem.
Dude, well, let me stop. I was about to say something. Pete Davidson wasn't the only one in the bushes, dog. Come on, man. Let's be real. Like, stop. Leave Pete Davidson alone, man. He's harmless. He can't battle you back. Maybe he can do a skit about you on SNL. Maybe.
What did he said, man, I survived that crash.
You know.
Come on, Pete.
But, dude, he got to snuff Pete? For what? For what?
Pete know better, because Pete just know.
If I'm gay, I'm like, dude, man, you do whatever. I got the keys. I got the keys to the crib. I walk up in there when I get ready. Now that's being a boss if you gay. I still got the keys and the remote. I walk in there when I get ready. And I'm not just coming through to see my kids.
Nah, I'm leaving with something.
Right. Like, man, you taking time out to diss this dude on wax and all that stuff, man. Yo. And then, you know, Joe Biden, man. Come on, man. You calling people out of their names as the president.
Can't get right, man.
Relax, man. Relax.
Yeah, that's what it is. Just relax, bro.
Relax. Just relax, man.
Do it too much.
Relax. Lucky Lefty Podcast, each and every day, 9 a.m. Don't forget, tomorrow, we spin it different. We got another former running back, another great at Notre Dame, CJ Procise, right here.
Right here.
That's what we do. We spin it different. Lucky Lefty Podcast. We also had somebody commit to next week, next Tuesday.
Yeah. We want to say that one.
Yeah, we'll say that one. We got another Notre Dame great
too.
Coming in next Tuesday. So we just keep doing what we do.
First round talent, by the way.
Yes.
Coming through.
Great convo, great content. It's what we do, Lucky Lefty Podcast. From my boy Malik Zaire, I'm Shaun Davis. Spin it different today. We'll see you tomorrow morning.